Good evening. Welcome to our weekly new global media talk show. Today is June 15, 2025. So today we're gonna be talking about two topics here. So the first topics, of course, was scheduled with our guest Muhammed Koka. The topic was Oxford African Conference 2025, but Muhammad hasn't joined us yet. So we're looking forward for him to join the show and we can transition into that topic. Meanwhile, we will be looking at the second area that we want to explore, which is the revelation of the camps in UDP and the way forward for them 2026 election. I have my co-host here, Sam Ceesay. Sam, Indiana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And my other co-host, Ousman Camara. Ousman in the Gambia. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very good, very good. So we've been seeing on the trending news the mayhem that is happening in the UDP, United Democratic Party, which is the main opposition party in the Gambia. And then it is concerning because looking at all what is at stake, our political dynamics and the landscape, if this kind of issue erupt in an organization or in a political party that is looking forward to unseat the sitting president whose second term would expire in 2026. I think we need this addressed so the Gambian people can feel a sense of relief or a sense of direction, because most people are speculating that the president shouldn't run for the third term. It's not a good president. I am one of them. No matter even if you support the president or not, his developmental agendas or his ways of handling the country's crisis or situation, the economic situation of the Gambia, doesn't matter. Two-term presidency is what suits us, and that's what Gambian people want. Now, if anybody want to perpetuate themselves to the power, it will come with resistance, in the polls. So UDP being the main center of our main opposition party, there need to be some sense of relief from the voters, the way they are going. So Roy Malik Law came on the air and then mentioned that there is two camps in UDP. You have the Hussein Dabo's camp and Talib Bensouda camp. This has really, really, really caused some really, really big, discussion across the social media. So I think this is something that we will explore and see way forward, us as panelists here at this moment, and see a way forward for the party and how the party can actually attract other oppositions to stand chance in 2026 election. So I will open the floor for Sam Ceesay and Ousman Camara to come in. And I also have my contribution after to add to that. Thank you, guys.
I'll say I would say since Usman is on the ground and he probably heard more than we did or knows more than we do, so I would say that Usman should go first, and then after him I can come in, and then we'll go from there, and then you can come in.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you so very much, Sam Ceesay. Of course, my boss, Mr. Sawaneh as well. Thank you very much. I think it is a very important topic for us to discuss it genuinely, and so at least we have what you call a sense of direction and, of course, a sense of understanding as well. The political situation or the political tension that we are experiencing at the moment in the UDP camp or in the UDP party is indeed very discouraging, no doubt about that. The situation is not a hearsay or hearsay. It is a prevailing situation in the party at the moment, and then they are battling with it to see how best they can arrest the situation. It appears that the situation is getting out of hand, and as such, leaders in the party started coming out openly to the public to manifest some of this frustration to the public. We have heard at the time that the party is is confronted with internal division. But in many occasions, like the party leader will come and then, of course, rebunk that to say there is no issue, which of course is quite very normal of any serious leader. You need not to project your situation or the turmoil that is your party or your membership is being or are confronted with. But in the recent time, I think the situation is getting out of hand, and the public is started to understand the reality on the ground that they can no longer handle it, and that's why some of their prominent leaders are coming out so vehemently to come and then, of course, tell the public, you know what, this is what really is happening. We have heard from Rohi Malik Low of Banjul, the mayor of Banjul, she made it very clear at iAfrica TV in her collection of revelations. She pointed out some of her frustrations, and then she equally pointed out some of the problems that, of course, the party is being confronted with. She stated in one or two words, and of course, in her voice, she said, she don't have a camp. As you see, there's only two camp that the party is battling with. That is the Talib camp and of course Hussein camp. But she made it very clear that she don't have a camp and she only belongs to Hussein camp. Such issue, is very discouraging, no doubt. Now, despite political differences but if you are speaking from a genuine perspective, you realize that this is a major problem that the party must act fast now, or everything will turn sour. And then, if this situation persists in this trajectory, then I don't see anything that will come as good in 2026 elections. Again, the issue situation coming from Yanks Dabo, the chairman of Brikama Area Council, my own chairman, he was quite, I think he was quite upset with the situation, and that's why he couldn't just hold it. He has to come public and tell the public, you know what? And he made it very clear in his Facebook post to say they want to overthrow our party leader overnight in court. So these are clear manifestations. And then later on in the morning, Talib was on video to call for calm and peace. And later again, we also understand from the party leader to say he also called for calm, and of course, he also called for people to stay, to be in line with peace, justice, and of course, and transparency. So these are things that are indeed very real, and these are things that the public is of course trying to understand, because some of the party members they are basically on their post very frequently, coming out so strongly and firmly, rejecting and others endorsing some of the things. So I think this is very unfortunate, no doubt. And then of course, in my opinion, they really need to work, they need to work on that, so that at least the membership. But again, Sam Ceesay and of course Mr. Sawaneh, we must recall that UDP, the party leadership, will only come to reality in the primaries. Okay, when they could hold Congress to select their standard bearer. For the meantime, what we know is the party leader and the secretary general of the party is of course lawyer Hussein Udabo. But the candidacy or the standard bearer coming up will definitely be confirmed. And then that confirmation is what others cannot no longer wait. They could not no longer exercise patience to wait for that particular moment to come. So it's like others are pushing pretty well. Some of the members are pushing, you know what, Talib has to come. And the others are saying, you know what, Talib has to wait. So that's dilemma of political acquisition of power or leadership is what indeed is calling, or that's what is really affecting the UDP camp at the moment. I'll come back again, Sam Ceesay and Mr. Sawaneh. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Usman. Thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ousmane. Definitely, you kind of like broke it down very well for us, and that's part of the reason I wanted to start with you, because you're underground. You may be hearing more, and you know what is happening there. You'll hear all the noise, and of course different news stations that you would hear as well. My take on this is this. You know, when you have situations like this, one thing that people have in any party, I'm not going to talk and support one party and or vice versa or something like that. But one thing I want to say is, in any party, anytime there is rumors of division, it's always good to do your Congress as soon as possible, so you can declare and have your people that really want to be a flag bearer to be elected by the people. And once the Congress is done and someone is elected, the rumors is over. Then, because at that point, everybody will know who the flag bearer is. Because in any democratic state, it boils down to who does the people vote for during the primaries. And the majority vote for one person, that person is the person. It will be the candidate that is going to represent everybody. However, in my mind, I don't see. I don't know what I don't know, but I don't see anything other than Dabor being the party leader, the Secretary General party leader. I see him as the candidate. That's what I see in my mind. Until somebody else comes out, or until during primaries, the majority of the people elect someone else. That's the way I look at it. Now, the other thing I want to say here is, um, it's very important. We are at a very critical stage. 2026 election is very important. A lot of Gambians are saying we need change, we need change, we need change in our government. And, we, the people in the diaspora that are not there to vote, we're not going to be there to vote. We're not going to participate in the elections. So our key important thing is, how can we help Gambia make that change? All right. That's very important. And one of those things is, my advice is to make sure that we give a blind eye to the people that are trying to infiltrate the party, because sometimes when you see rumors like this, sometimes it comes from the outside. The outsiders get in there and get into people and try to bring that commotion in there, so people can understand that yes, there's a division, but if you have Yankuba Dabo and Bensouda and Rahim Malik Low all condemning what people are saying, well, then that brings down to the reality of, well, they are all behind Dabo. They are all behind Dabo. However, I would say this: Yankuba Dabor and Bensouda, Rahim Maliklo, they all have time. They're young enough that there's a brighter future for them. We know that Dabor is going to be limited at some point. Probably after 2026, he should not run for any elections anymore. After 2026, if he runs for 2026, I don't think he should run for anything past 2026. However, he deserved the position. He's been fighting for this party for a very long time, including jail and prison time and all of that. He deserved the position. He deserved to be the Secretary General one more time. That's what I would say. If I were him, I would say one more time. That one more time is the last time. After that, that's when things need to pass on to the next candidate that the majority of the people are going to vote for. So it's very important, number one, to kill the rumors. Rumors, the enemies will go through. A perfect example is in the soccer team. When soccer teams, two teams are playing soccer. One football player from Team A has the ball. You hear everybody on the sideline saying enemy, enemy. We used to say enemy. Well, but the right thing is opponent. You have somebody, an opponent coming. When you hear the opponent is approaching, what does that player? What does it make the player do? They start to be conscious of that. They start to pay attention. Some will even start to look behind to look for that opponent, because it all creates that noise there. And that is one thing I would say is happening in the UDP party. the opponent, and an opponent within the party itself. That's what that's what they are saying. In other words, and which makes everybody look behind and look at who is their opponent. They already named some people, but when those people come out themselves and rally behind the leader and declared and made it very clear that they are not running, I think the rumor should be clear. We should not allow the sideliners to tell them what is happening within their party. They should know better. They should know what is happening in the party. So that's one way of looking at this. I know there's different ways of looking at it, but that's one way of looking at it. In other words, the advice is to not to allow people to infiltrate, not to allow people, the enemies or the opponents, to come in and tell them, create a rumor and create a stir apart. In other words, within the party that creates all of this commotion. But number two, it's also very important that the party, for the party to hold their Congress as soon as possible. The sooner the better, as soon as possible, so that they can have their majority of the people, electorates, elect someone as their flag bearer. Once that happens, then the game is over. That person is going to be the flag bearer, like it or not. That person is going to be the flag bearer. So this is what we need to look into. But one thing I don't want to see is for them to allow, for UDP to allow commotion within them and all of these noise within them and break them apart, which gives the winning edge to the incumbent or another party. So very important. Unity. They've been united. Democratic Party. They need to continue to unite if they want to win. They need to continue to unite and hold Congress. Whoever the people vote for, that person should lead the party, because that will be the majority of the people. And everybody else, whether you're in Camp A, Camp B, whether you're not in or not in even any camp, you're just in the party. Everybody should rally behind that person and go into elections with the intention of winning. But I would say that at this point, I think it's about time. I mean, Dabo has been the party leader for a very long time, and elections after elections after elections, whether they win or lose, they've been declared as the loser by the IEC, even if they've won in the past, which I suspect that in some of those elections they won actually, but they've not been declared the winner. So it's very important that we don't have that repetition in 2026. Gambia cannot afford that. We are at a very critical stage. The country needs to move forward. We cannot take a back step. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Sam Ceesay. This is gonna be before our guests come in. This is gonna be a little bit gonna be some debate here, because I can agree with some of your points. Some of your points I disagree, and I'm pretty sure Ousman, who is on the ground, perhaps would also, be subjected to some agreements and some disagreement. First of all,
Absolutely.
yes. So we're gonna make this an open debate. First of all, we are talking about term limits, right? Even in presidency, parties also, should have a term limit if we really want to be democratic. Okay, you give Sam Ceesay a chance to stand for his party 5 consecutive time. You are showing you that's not telling well, because Sam Ceesay is not the only viable candidate for that particular party. Okay, if Sam has already exploited his chance one term, he's contested, he couldn't make it. Second time also presidency, he contested. What happened to Ousman? Third term, and Ousman is still waiting, and Ousman is a contender. So we are looking at presidency only as a country to have a term limit, but when it comes to parties, their candidacy to run for office, we are not looking at that. We should start the exam from the in-house. Ila korda follow example oto doku, then ikata banta. This is our problem. When you look at the structure of a UDP, UDP is the most structured organization, and I don't think they are politically savvy. Just because you have bunch of intellectuals, intelligent people educated doesn't mean you are politically savvy. That this leadership of UDP are not politically savvy. I once proposed them to even probably give me an internship, which which was laughable, but they were laughing at that. But anyway, but I don't think they are politically savvy, and this is why APRC has been very successful. And then this is why Borough acquired APRC folks, because to be political savvy doesn't mean you have to be educated. You have to know how to cut deals. In real estate, we call it cut deals to make things happen. And both of all of you, like all of you benefits. They don't, UDP don't know how to cut deals, and their leadership is really not smart in that. This is just the fact. Otherwise, they would have beat, not even Drammeh, but they would have beat Barrow 2021. That's a clear victory for them. And when I hear you say they steal the election, the data doesn't show that. Remember 3 weeks ago, no, 2 months ago, no, what, a month ago, sorry, we brought Tuba, who was a data analyst, to the show, and he's categorically look at all the IEC data since the inception of UDP. There's no data that statistically show that UDP has been in Drammeh. So that notion is a fallacy. It's a fallacy. It's a myth. It never it cannot be proven by anybody. Let's go to the data. So the gentleman was here, and then he said it. He's an independent researcher. I mean, he did show us the data in this show. So let's forget about being still in the election. Now, the problem here with Dabo is the party secretary general and party leader. Okay, there's always a time to say it's time to move on. Dabo is a statesmanship, the most popular person in the Gambia when it comes to politics, hands down. He cannot be matched because people will die for him, will do anything for him. But sometimes, when it comes to this kind of thing, you gotta look at things differently. Like I said, he had 4 chances or so. That it shouldn't have even come to that. In my own opinion, if I'm in that party, I will not accept that. I will not go for that. Maybe they will fire me quickly, because I would not stand and say one man has to show up in the polls 4 times. It doesn't make sense. If you cannot get it done 2 times, what make you gonna get it done 3rd time or 4th time? So that's out of the window. Now, he mentioned Yankuba Dabo, saying that, I think it's Ousman who mentioned that, saying that they trying to coup d'etat the coup d'etat, something like that. What was the right word, Ousman?
Overthrow our party leader overnight.
Okay, overthrow our party leader. I mean, look at how they talk as a politician. If you say that, do you know what division you've created? That's not a word from a leader expected, like Yankuba. He's a lawyer. He's a seasoned lawyer. This is you're putting fuel on the fire. I'm telling you. Roy Maliklo already messed up by saying he has 2 camps. Which is, like, if you want to address this kind of things, you don't address that in the media. So what I'm seeing is that there's an egoistic issue in UDP. Okay, so because he doesn't work on Roy Maliklo's side in terms of numbers for him to be a flag bearer, for her to be a flag bearer, now she has to enforce Dabo, because these other guys cannot come here and then get it before me. The same thing with Sabali. Sabali's issue with UDP was he has an issue, of him become the number 2. He saw that that's slightly losing. He couldn't, Baba Yakata, Tabiro, Domorokiji, and all of that, just to get closer to Baba so he could be number 2. When he knew that opportunity is going, what did Sabali do? Sabali went haywire and went to the party that he attacked, which is MPP. He's a clueless president, Keren Kafo. Sabali went back there because he couldn't take it. And Yankuba is just started. Let's just be factual. If it comes to work and proven leadership and getting the work done, Talib has more on his plate than Yankuba. Even though Yankuba is promising young guy, let's just I kind of low la nga nyine la. It's just the same thing. You cannot forget about Dabo, because Dabo has been in the low water abijele. But men fanam bet metal luo kono. Ite ol fanam nyur la karala. Ye finko men nada luo kono ya for wol alfele. So Yankuba's recent popularity and great work in that area shouldn't blindfold people. So what I'm trying to suggest here is that if Talib's popularity is showing in the polls and everything, if UDP would want to be really a party to win and overthrow, take over, unseat, this president Barrow, I think it's best for them to come together and look at things logistically. Yeah, something that could bring other people on board. Yeah, and who is that candidate to do that? Baba is always going to be an icon for the nation and for UDP. But there is always a time. Hani fenko akakijele. Hani hani seno. There's coming time kadamandi wolandele. You have to call it a quit. And we call fenko tantang be fenko be diaran wato mena. Wato luko wato. You don't wait until you are flat laid down and you leave. Most people who left successfully in power, that's what they did. Look at Nelson Mandela. When it's at the highest peak, and they call it a quit, and they are remembered forever. So I think UDP can get this fixed. It's just that if I have to say, there are perhaps a couple of people in the leadership that are having issue between Talib and Hussaini's relationship. And we have to call a spade a spade. Talib's popularity is not by magic. It was gradually, developed through KMC, remodeling KMC, and coming to do things that has never been done in those areas. And Yankuba is really doing well to catch up to that. So I think let's go with the momentum. And another one factor that they are using is tribe. When we look at tribe, definitely we become self-destructive because tribe doesn't do the work. It never happened. CEO is a title, is a thing that you belong to, but that doesn't mean that's the one that does the work at the presidency. What does the work is the individual vision and capabilities and the way to connect with people to make them, passionate about, their visions to get to where they need to be. So CEO, Niko Besiko used Clarek, that's where the problem comes. Let them look at the potential and the person who can deliver and where people can rally behind. So I think at this juncture, UDP need to really go and then go back to the drawing board. And that the party leaders shouldn't sit there and say, Mol Kongatambi. Of course, some people will look at your face. They cannot look at your face and say otherwise. Because they have already traveled millions of miles with you. Listen, I don't think this is good for my party or for the Gambia. Even though I love you guys and I appreciate everything, this is what I think is good. This is how we can beat President Barrow. Do you see Sonko? What Sonko did? When Sonko became little stained with all these allegations and the prison terms, Sonko decided to take his own mentee, Portuguese, and brought him to the front. Because you know why? He said, I have my demography. This is me, Sonko. I have this area covered. Now, the areas that I don't have covered, Joma Fai, with his background, with his ethnicity, can bring those people. So I come from Tetama. and a Kafama, then we're gonna unseat Macky Sallah's candidate. And that's exactly what worked. People don't know Jomai Fight, but they have there is a group of serial Mealonko he connected to because of his ethnicity and so forth. That kind of magnetized those people to come to the party. So that's why they won the election. So politics is not about nte ntole warta mo bedi nga memfo wole bekela ntole muni kafusi falati. It doesn't make sense. Jusontere sondo molem. And Barrow, don't underrate him. He might be the cruelest president we've ever seen in recent years, but which some people said, Dr. Ceesay even said that. It's not for me. But we have to understand that Barrow is smart when it comes to politics. I don't know how he learned to be smart, but he is smart right now. He will push all the points and let the thing takes care of itself while he sits and watch. So I think the best thing now is UDP to go back to the drawing board and galvanize the team. And like Sam says, one thing I agree. Let them do the what do you call it? Sam, what is the word? Congress as soon as possible. Let them do it now, than later. Because right now it's good that we are having this conversation. Because if they don't do it now, if they wait, UDP wait until shortly before the election, they might not have time to fix whatever breaks. So right now, yes, Dabo is scared that when he's out, the party might be divided. But Dabo cannot use that as a tool not to stay. And definitely, I don't agree with you, Sam, to say that Dabo needs one more time. Dabo even needed last time. He didn't need it. Yeah, just because you sacrifice so much for the party doesn't mean you need it. Because if you do it like that, it's gonna repeat itself. Those who are against Dabo's presidency will always galvanize, and then perhaps that is the wild cat or the elephant in the room. It's not about Barrow is popular, but those who are against Dabo's presidency are more popular than Barrow, and they are silent voters. I mean, Barrow that they are more popular. Those who are against Dabo's presidency are more than those who are supporting Barrow. So you can see the card is flipped over. It's not about Barrow's popularity. It's about that against Dabo. That could be. And then many factors could have caused that. Because already right now, Drammeh has framed Dabo as a tribalist. That is also there. This is not something that I'm saying just because of this. We're all saying this. It's just that we have to say it. And I'm not saying it because I'm against Dabo or I'm against anybody in UDP. I'm just saying from an independent perspective. Because I have friends in UDP and families, just like other part of the parties. So this is the issue here. So I think UDP should be open to this discussion and look at things at the same time and say, what do we want? Do we want to move forward and unseat this man who is really plunging our country into a deeper hole? A lot of corruption. People are dying on, security issues. We are, we are worse 10 years now than 10 years ago. So this is this answer to the question that I have. But at the same time, listen, I think it will work itself, because I feel like UDP has a lot of talent. It's just about putting the talents together and then get more seasoned politicians among them, those who can really play politics and cut deals. Because if you don't cut deals, you cannot make it happen. Sometimes you gotta bend. You gotta bend the rules. But politics is like that. Bend the rules, for you to succeed. And then when you get to the seat, getting to the seat is rough. There have a lot of bending the rules and stuff like that. But when you get to the seat, that's when you apply the real thing. Yeah, but if you're not there already, you want to apply the real thing. You're never gonna get to the seat. So UDP need to know how to get to the seat by cutting deals. Yeah. Thank you. So this is my entire overview. Ousman, you can come
I
in
do
and
have some
jump.
response, but I'll let Ousman come in.
No, yeah, that's right. I only have two observations. That is the first part is the issue of the term limit for the party leadership. Okay, and equally the second part I would like to discuss is the issue of the elections. Because I will first commence with the election stuff. We understood from Tuba last time when he came here, he categorically made it very clear election cheating or the malpractice that of course the public is okay with, or many will tell the public or inform the public, you know what, there'll be a lot of election or malpractice that has happened. But after inviting the expert to come and dwell into this area, is he made it very clear that it has never happened, as far as he know, okay, that there have been what you call cheating in the entire electoral process. But I could recall not once, not twice, many will claim that other parties or party leader won, and then of course the IEC didn't do their job perfectly well, and that result to that. But I think with the current trajectory of the electoral system that the Gambia is, of course, experiencing, I am not sure in any occasions or in any way that someone or a party will definitely cheat. You're cheating, perhaps it could happen, but it's going to be at a very small scale because everybody is watching. The counting is done at instant. Nobody is going home. Once everything is done, then we call for the voting process. Agents and everybody is available. So let's keep watching onto that. I think the space will explain itself as we progress. The second part is the issue of party leadership. Okay, in as much as parties in the Gambia, and of course, when you look at the global politics, also sometimes it happens. But let's focus the case study in the Gambia. When you look at the party structure in the Gambia, political parties don't have what you call term limit in in their constitution. Okay, everything is well cleared in terms of space. There's what you call political vacuum of term limit. Okay, there is no restriction, there is no clause that clarify or that entrench to say, you know what, any leader of our party, secretary general and the party leader, you can only serve for 2 terms or 3 terms. There is nothing restriction onto that. So in as much as that one is not qualified or is not clear to us, or parties are not working towards that to resolve that or to solve that problem, then we'll continue to face that. If one said Usainu or Usainu should not even run in the next election, that is 2026, I would see that we have a problem because that's what you call political freedom, okay, in terms of party leadership. So my challenge here, my intervention here will be, let parties introduce term limit within their party.
I
Then we
agree.
have what you call modern structural democracy in our political space. But in as much as there is no restriction in terms of party leadership, we've seen Doi. Khalifa has been there for ages. We've seen, of course, GDC, Mama Kande been there. President, the former President Jawara, the same thing. Former President Jammeh, the same thing. Barrow also the same thing. So it's like it is high time, if we are calling for term limit, if it has to be seriously taken by the public, there is a need for political leaders to go to the drawing board and start looking in their constitution to make amends. And with that, I'm sure we will
Uh,
see a new, trench of democracy in our governance structure and in our political space. Thank you so very much.
yeah, I agree
All
with you.
right. It's interesting. So there are a couple of areas that I want to touch on. One, I will start with that term limit thing that you're saying. Technically, when you look at it, yes, it is true there's no term limit for political leaders, but their term limit is based on their Congress. That's why they're supposed to have Congress. When they have their Congress, they do their primaries and elect somebody else. So if they elect someone, that person is their representative. It's clear. It's a clear picture. They select someone at the Congress. That's it. That's their leader. That's their flag bearer. So, and that is the person that is going to challenge the incumbent president in during elections. So the term limit part of it to me is not important, because anybody is saying term limit, I'm not supporting double here. I'm just saying whoever, whatever. I mean, Mama Kende has been in the same place for a long time. Halifax Saleh has been in the same place for a long time, right? So you have all these leaders, all of those party electorates that are talking. If they talk about term limit, or anybody that wants to talk about term limit, my response to them is just go to Congress during primaries and vote for somebody else. Just give your vote to somebody else. If the majority of the people that don't want current leader in any party to be their leader or flag bearer, just give your votes to the next person. That's it. If the next person gets the votes, that leader, that person becomes the leader. It's just that simple. So I don't think there's much to say on that. So that's my philosophy. Yes, they can introduce a term limit. I don't know that it's going to make any difference there, because if they introduce term limits in any political party in the Gambia, well, and have a term limit for someone, then during their first primary, the majority of the people prefer a different candidate than the one that's the leader. They're still going to vote for that person that they prefer, and that person would automatically lead. So the term limit becomes irrelevant at that point. I'm not against it. They can have it there. The most important term limit for Gambia is the presidency. We want the presidency to have a term limit. 2 terms, you're out, no matter who you are. We have the greatest presidents in the United States that have served the United States here, but they only serve only 2 terms, and they're out, and the next president came in. That's what we need. The presidency needs term limit for sure. On the other side, what we were talking about, Tuba, I know you both said that Tuba specifically said. One thing I do remember that I want to remind both of you as well is Tuba said he was talking specifically based on the records that IEC has, not anything else.
But that's what we are
basically records. That's what he was analyzing and telling people based on the records, whether those records are correct or not, whether they're accurate or not. He is going by that record. And if you look at those records, and he looked at those records and analyzed based on those records, and yes, Barrow became the winner, right? So if you look at it from that standpoint, Barrow is the winner was the winner for 2021 elections, no doubt, because of the IEC records. Now the question is IEC records accurate? Knowing that Gambia is full of corruption, Gambia is full of a lot of malpractice, and we all know IEC themselves are corrupt. How many times have you heard, and how many of you have heard where millions of Gambian dalasi was used at IEC, some went into individual bank accounts? Can you correct that? Can you call that institution an accurate institution? I don't trust them. I don't trust IEC. As a result, I don't trust all the numbers that they produced in the past. And if we go even further back, during Jammeh's time, when Jammeh lost 2016 elections, he was asking what happened to the 300,000 votes. And people claimed that the 300,000 votes were the voter registration, the fake voter registration cards that they kept at the APRC, campaign headquarters. That was put on fire. That was burned into flames. So there are people within them, or there are people that knew that there was an extra 350 or 300,000 votes or registration cards that were kept there that was being used by IEC in Jammeh to add to Jammeh's numbers, to inflate the numbers to become winners. And if those 300,000 votes get added to what Jammeh already has or had in the past, we'll always put him in the top. And if you look at every one of those elections, you'll say Jammeh won. But are the numbers correct? That's what people don't know. So that also created its own noise. To me, I did not trust what IEC for the past 10, 15 years. I don't trust, or I can't believe, I can't say for sure that IEC numbers were accurate. I'm not saying that the numbers that they produce, if you look at those numbers, yes, you can say what they announced that was correct based on the numbers they produced. But we also know that during elections, we've seen some polls in some areas where people voted, and those votes that were casted at the end of the ballot were announced. People were sending them out, as we see, and you'll see what came from this person is the same thing that came from this person. But IEC announced a different number. You see the inconsistency there. So that's what made me not to trust what IEC declared. So what Tuba was saying was specifically based on what IEC produced. I can agree with him. What IEC produced, if you're looking at those numbers, you can say, yeah, Borough won. But in reality, are those numbers accurate? That's the question, and that's my claim, that I don't trust those numbers. I just can't trust those numbers. So we still have work to do. We have work to do. So my advice here is really, I think a coalition is very important for UDP to have with other parties. In Gambia, since they introduced the 2016 election with a coalition, and we want that, and they want that, I think that becomes that should be the norm for any president that's in power that is not doing the right thing for the country. The political parties need to forget about their own leadership. They need to forget about their parties. They need to come together as one team and fight against that incumbent and get them out. Don't allow them to sit for another term, because another 5 years means another billions of Gambian dollars that will be wasted. And that's what I don't want to see. I want to see, I don't care who becomes the UDP leader. It could be Dabo, it could be anybody. What I am after is what's good for Gambia, because the solution for Gambia is to have the right candidate there that is going to move the country forward and stop the corruption. That's what we need. And that's what I wanted to add to it.
Thank you. You mentioned specifically an area that has a bone of contention. That is the accuracy of IEC.
Yep.
Yes. The Tuba's presentation was based on the IEC
what
data.
IEC produced. Yes.
Right. Now,
Yep.
this is the elections sometimes are won well before the voting, based on registrations, based on other things. You are right.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be that the elections might be stolen from far. Like you're talking about registration, about that 300 votes that
Drammeh was claiming.
That Drammeh was claiming
Yep.
were burned in
They were burned in their headquarters.
in the
Yeah.
headquarters.
Yep.
So those might be a factor within Drammeh. Yes. So now the question is, how comes those happen? This is the $100 million questions, because we are coming to elections. We have all these parties have intellectuals, they have politicians. I'm pretty sure they have money too. So why would one party would be doing that and others cannot?
They're using the incumbency to do that. But another thing we cannot forget is, you remember Mbemba Drammeh came out from France and said 2021 election was stolen, and he was part of it. You have a witness that came out and said, we stole the election. Right? So he's a witness that said he stole the election, and they arrested him, and he had to bail out and then flee back to France.
Right, which is true. Which is a true case that happened in Mbemba's case. But what we are trying to say is that on paper there was no election stolen, but behind the scene, before the election day, okay, illegal registration might have taken place, in the
Yeah.
borders, or some other people might have been registered, has been registered who don't exist, who were not Gambians, and then the registrations was put somewhere, and then they were given access to vote. All this is possible. All what we're trying to say, how did that happen? If
Well, they
at
played
all
their
we
game. Yeah. Hmm.
if at all we have all these political parties in the country, and they say okay with the registration, like when IEC published their voters list, it was confirmed by UDP 2021. I thought that it was inflated because it came to about close to million. I don't think Gambian voters are even close to that.
No, no, you
But
don't have that many
UDP,
registration.
the UDP and other opposition, they confirm they are okay with the list. So why at that point they didn't make noise and say, let's vet all these voters? How come on, million data voters registration. I mean, people who legislation list. Why is that? Is somebody can spend couple of months trying to find out where those people are. How come why how did they
Well,
become voters? So
yeah,
I don't think too much emphasis have been done to this thing. People want to sit in their houses and wait election day and campaign, have a big rally, book out, and then at the end of the day, you know, they lose election and the election is stolen. So
yeah.
the election is not stolen at the spot that it was the voting were done. It probably stolen way before. So how do we counter that? What can UDP do and other opposition candidates do? The opposition party do to make sure that those things don't happen again, because
Doesn't happen again.
2026 is just around the corner.
Yeah, next
I
year,
agree with you. The data, the analysis were based on the data.
based on
But
the
before
data.
the data, so many things happened. There were voters registration card machines everywhere. There were other things happening. So those are the time for UDP. If they, UDP and other serious parties could come together and kind of vet all the process and even claim the list and look at it, have
Yeah.
independent
Well,
people studied it.
yeah. If you remember, and I do remember correctly, they knew about the irregularities, and then they reported it. They went to take it to court, and they didn't either file on time or something was missing, which is a
No, no,
huge
that was
blame game.
after the election. We're
Right.
talking about we're talking about during the process. When they are doing registrations,
Yeah.
they do registration in different places, and sometimes
Yeah.
they go even close to the border registering people.
Yeah.
Like right now, we're talking about
And recently they went to
the Mauritania.
Mauritania, right,
Yeah.
to give
So these
ID,
are the
issue
kind of
ID cards to
what are
people.
the oppositions doing towards those kind of things? Because if you want to become affordable oppositional party,
Yeah.
what do you have to do? You have to first have money. You can't just be an opposition without money. I
Hmm.
understand the power of incumbency. Like Liberia, George Weah was an incumbent. Many incumbents has lost election. But what did the
Hmm.
opposition do? They invest money and time
Yep.
to make sure that the election is fair and free.
Yep.
So this is the same game that UDP should be doing. And then
I
besides
agree
that,
on that
yeah.
part.
So once they do that, I even suggested that UDP opposition should have their own IEC, meaning they have a like their own record collecting center, either via they can do it via internet. I mean, they can do it online, and making sure all the boarding stations are all fully internet and internet ready, with taking results and readily publishing it at a website that is that will be that will be computing what the voters are how the voters are coming, so that they can tally that vote and compare it to IEC. Because if they do that, then they will have instant results before even IEC, and they will know where they stand during the election. So that's one thing
Yep.
that this election we need to look at, because I think I had Liberia also Liberian opposition leader apply those kind of strategies as well, the opposition party.
Yep.
And then the second thing is they should go and then look at this illegal voting registration machines, and then the illegal voting registration that are happening. I know it's not easy. You have to go through all that data to find out if these are citizens, are they been given papers and so forth. But if this is happening in the Gambia, other countries, it is not happening there, and those countries are more equipped than Gambia. The governments are more equipped than Gambia, and we see that incumbents are losing elections. So this is not about talking alone. This is about doing. I think the opposition should really be ready. First of all, come together, like coalition that you mentioned. That is essential. Forget about who's going to be leader, who's going to be leader, who's going to be leader. Form a united front. Form a united front against the enemy and unseat the enemy of the state. I think that's the best way. Form the united front, raise funds, do all this legwork to make sure that every data, every citizen voting is eligible to vote. How they become, if anybody is suspicious of getting the papers to register and all of that, we need to vet it out. Because without that, like you said, the election could be won 1 year before the election. So I think that is we are on the same point with that. But your final words on this? I think we are almost an hour in between.
Yeah, we should wrap it up here. Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a very interesting topic, and to me, what I look at is Gambia. I look for Gambia. I look at what's best for Gambia, not what's best for any political party, but what's best for Gambia. So that's why I said it's important that there is a coalition in 2026 to be able to make a change, since we cannot get the two-term limit in the Constitution at this point, since the draft constitutions have not passed yet. The best thing for Gambia is to make sure that Barrow ends at 2026, that he doesn't go further. That keeps him at the two-term, and we don't move further. And the next president can work with the new National Assembly to make sure that a new constitution is there that will incorporate that two-term limit. So two-term limit is very, very important for Gambia. And to be able to get to all of that is really to 2026 for a coalition to come in together. UDP, Mama Kande, the DOE, and all of them come together and form one and go to Congress and elect a flag bearer. Let that friend, they all should stand and rally behind that flag bearer to make sure that they win the elections, so that the two-term limit can stop right there. And as soon as they get into power, they change the constitution to make sure within the first year to make sure that the constitution is changed. The 2020 draft constitution that was drafted for the people's choice, since they went around and asked people, they make sure that that same draft constitution get rewritten and then brought back to the for our National Assembly members to vote. So that's the most important thing for Gambia. But for UDP, again, going back to the topic, I think the most important thing is, like I said earlier, go to Congress as soon as possible and clear all the doubts. Let them go to Congress. And when they go to Congress, they will have a fair flag bearer elected from their primaries, and that will end the rumor. And that's it. That's the solution for that.
Yeah. Yep. So just to add up and while closing, for my take on all what you said, my takes on that are all positive. When it comes to UDP, 2 camp or 3 camp or 5 camps, I think all camps should understand one thing. It's about time. Look at your time. This time doesn't wait for anybody. What is at stake? Look at that, UDP. What is at stake? What is at stake is this country to be ruled by the same person that is claimed to be clueless, incapable, and don't know how to run government, with a lot of corruptions and mishaps. Would you allow that person to go over 2 terms? He fooled us on the transition 3 years. Barrow fooled the Gambians and moved to 5 years, extend to 5 years. After 5 years, which Usenu was the one who said Barrow must go 5 years, He went around again and he said that 5 years was a transition. He's gonna go for another 5 years.
And I disagree with that because, like during those times, I made the comment and I said, you cannot eat your cake and have it. If Barrow gave 3 years as an agreement, which was the part of the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, as 3 years. So at the end of that 3 years, or before the end of that 3 years, if he decides he's not going to serve the 3 years, he wants to go 5 years, now he's picking the mandate because 3 years was a gentleman agreement, was a part of the memorandum of agreement for the coalition party. But the 5 years is our constitution, which is right. I agree with all that. But if you pick that 5 years, you should know that you're picking a mandate and you can only serve two mandates. You should only serve two mandates. So that 5 years counts as one mandate. Your second half, 5 years is your second mandate. That should be the end of the term. That should be
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So, but he fooled the Gambians, and then he went to the polls. Gonna play like you said. He won by whatever way, but the results that shows on the IEC that says he won. And then now he got another mandate. So that mandate, now the Gambian people, since they won, and even Barrow says that term limits must be observed when he came to New York here, 2017. I still remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he said, anybody who want to do otherwise, what has happened to Drammeh will happen to you, which is to be taken out.
Coalition.
Out of the power. So now,
Yeah.
if that Barrow is saying that he's not running because he's running because his party is a baby, he has to babysit his party.
Well,
It's too young. What an insult to the Gambian people's intelligence, because he's not running for Gambia anymore. He's running for his party. So that's an insult to Gambian people's intelligence. However, if these Gambian folks are not ready to find a way to stop this guy or this president, then we are dipping ourselves into a hole, because he's going there for his party, and his party gonna stay longer, and then doing all what they're doing and even worse at the end of the day in the expense of Gambian people. So I think it's about right time the main opposition party, which is the UDP, fix their differences. I still believe that the flag bearer issue is just simple. We
go to
know
Congress. Yeah, go to Congress.
go to Congress. No,
Yeah.
not only going to Congress. Who is more in position to win the mass voters in UDP? Let's just be realistic.
Yep, that's where they will get in Congress. Because if
No,
you go
no,
to
yeah,
they go to
but
Congress,
going
they're
to
going to
Congress
get the
alone,
vote for that person.
going to Congress alone is not the answer, because somebody might look at Dabo on the eye and don't be realistically telling him the truth that, listen, I think this is the way to go. So you have a lot of those Gambia. Gambia is maslaha. Gambia is all about, I don't want to disappoint Sam. But realistically, we have a lot of young people who are in UDP who can really lead that party and bring victory. Because Barrow would be scared to go against any fresh blood UDPians who is well skilled and has people on his back. It could be either be Yankuba, it could be Talib, it could be Lamin Sane, it could be Roy Malik Law. Any of those people have potentials. So I think Dabo should just do what is best in the interest of his party and the Gambia. By just allowing change the dynamics of the leadership a little bit when it comes to flag bearer and see what happens. Let's take a chance on this, and the whole Gambia probably might succeed, because everybody has their luck.
That
Everybody
is
has
a
their luck.
possibility.
Yeah. So this is the real discussion we should have from now up. We are all in for Gambia. It's not like I'm talking because I'm in UDP or I'm not in UDP. No, this is the Gambia as a whole, because our country need to be saved. It need to be stop being plunging into the sea, because people like Sabali going towards Barrow after criticizing Barrow and enabling him even further to be more corrupt, to be more incapable in his deals in running the country. That's dangerous. People like Ismail Ceesay doing the same, empowering wrong things that you already stood against. So we are going in a danger that need to be stopped. And the only way to stop this is to stop Barrow for his 2 terms. Thank you, Mr. President. You've done well. You served 2 terms, which is what we all wanted, the max for a president. And now you can pack your things and go home and let somebody take it from where you left. This is the language that Gambian people should speak about. And we also come to this tone and save our country. But again, thank our viewers. Thank you, Mr. Ceesay, my able co-host here, and Ousman Camara. Thank you. I know we dropped out. Our guest couldn't make it today, but we will definitely schedule for another one. And again, our watchers, please share and comment, and then definitely we'll catch up next week at the same time here in New Global Media. Thank you, Sam.
Inshallah. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Already.
Take care. Take care.